The first letter looked harmless enough. Just another HOA notice tucked into my mailbox with bold red letters. Violation. But when I opened it and read what it said, my hands shook. According to Nancy, the HOA president, my wheelchair ramp was an unauthorized structure that damaged the neighborhood's appearance. Asterisk, let me back up for a moment. My daughter Emily is 12. She's bright, funny, and stronger than most adults I know. She also uses a wheelchair after a spinal cord injury from a car accident 2 years ago. Installing that ramp wasn't a choice. It was a necessity. It gave Emily independence. It gave her dignity. And here was Nancy, demanding I remove it. I thought there had to be some mistake. No one could be that heartless, right? Asterisk, so I called the HOA office and politely explained, this isn't decorative. This is an accessibility ramp. My daughter needs it. Asterisk, Nancy's voice on the other end was cold as ice. Rules are rules. Ramps must have prior approval, and this one was not approved. You'll need to take it down immediately. Asterisk, I reminded her of something she should have known. Federal law protects accessibility. But she just laughed and said, this neighborhood doesn't answer to federal law. We answer to the HOA. That was my first red flag. I hung up and started doing my research. And what I found made me furious. Asterisk, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, and the Fair Housing Act, it is illegal for an HOA to deny a resident the right to install accessibility modifications. They are required by law to allow it. Number, exceptions, asterisk, so I wrote a detailed letter back to Nancy, citing ADA Section 12132 and Fair Housing Amendments Act 42, USC Section 3604 F3A. I told her she was violating federal civil rights law. Asterisk, her response, another letter, this time threatening me with $200 a day in fines until the ramp was removed. Asterisk, that was it. I wasn't going to let my daughter be bullied. Asterisk, I called a lawyer, a disability rights attorney who had seen this exact fight before. He didn't hesitate. They're dead wrong, and you're going to win. Asterisk, we filed an official complaint with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development HUD. Asterisk, but that wasn't all. My lawyer also drafted a letter directly to Nancy and the HOA board, warning them that their actions constituted discrimination under federal law and carried penalties that could reach into the tens of thousands of dollars. Asterisk, 2 days later, I saw Nancy stomping up my driveway with a clipboard. She didn't look smug this time. She looked nervous. Asterisk, she knocked on my door, and when I opened it, she snapped, do you really think threatening us with lawyers will work? You're just making things worse for yourself. Asterisk, I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I just smiled and pointed at the security camera, recording everything. Then I calmly said, Nancy, the ADA shut people like you down long before you ever moved into this neighborhood. You should have read the law before trying to break it. Asterisk, a week later, the official HUD investigator showed up. Neighbors peeked through blinds as he knocked on Nancy's door. Word spread fast. This wasn't just HOA drama anymore. This was federal. Asterisk, the investigation didn't take long. We had the letters. We had the recorded phone calls. We even had Nancy on camera admitting that the HOA doesn't answer to federal law. The hammer dropped hard. The HOA was ordered to cease all fines immediately, reimburse every dollar they had already tried to collect. Asterisk, and Nancy herself. She was personally barred from holding any HOA office again. Asterisk, but it didn't stop there. HUD referred the case to the Department of Justice for civil penalties. The HOA ended up paying $45,000 in damages and legal fees. Asterisk, when the news broke, our neighborhood Facebook group lit up. Families who had been quietly suffering under Nancy's rule finally spoke out. She had fined people for Christmas lights, for having flower pots in their yard, even for kids leaving bikes on the sidewalk. Asterisk, now. She was finished. Asterisk, the ramp stayed. Emily rolled down it that afternoon with the biggest smile on her face. She said, Daddy, does this mean I won? Asterisk, I knelt beside her and said, no, sweetheart. We won, because nobody gets to take away your rights. Asterisk, that night, as I sat on the porch sipping coffee, I thought about everything Nancy had put us through. The stress, the intimidation, the arrogance. Asterisk, but in the end, the law was clear. And justice had spoken louder than her clipboard ever could. Asterisk, and that's how the HOA learned the hard way. You don't mess with the ADA.